Alrighty, welcome to Romera Records podcast. Today we have on
Sam Kaplan.
How's it going, man?
It's going good.
Good,
Doing
good.
well.
So, I always tell people how I had you on, like how I found you.
Yeah.
And C4 pretty much told me about you
Absolutely.
and what you do. So,
The GOAT.
yeah, the GOAT.
Absolutely.
He's pretty talented.
He's super talented and he's a hard ass worker.
Yes.
Which is, just as important.
Yeah, and I think like when I first started working with him, I honestly didn't know so work ethic, like you mentioning that's
Yeah.
like my big thing with artists. It's like I know if I'm going to work with you multiple times if you are asking me when you're going into the
Yep.
studio. And that's what he would do. He'd be like, yo,
Exactly.
you in the studio? And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Yes, I am here. Let's go. So
Absolutely. That's exactly like just what you said. That's my biggest thing because, we're in 2022. People should know by now that we're in a different era. It's not the era of getting signed when you're 15
Yeah.
and just run it. Like it's all on you now. And that's, my big thing with artists. If y'all don't know, I guess I really didn't introduce myself like
feel free
that.
to introduce yourself. however.
But yeah, no, I've been working in the music business, for free for the past 6-7 years. I'm finally actually, doing some things, making a little money from it, and actually working with artists that I want to work with. But yeah, when I see artists like C4 and meet people from my old place of work, I try and keep those people who I saw were about it, in my Rolodex because those are the people you want. And like I was saying, 2022, it's on you. You gotta make the moves. You gotta take it into your own hands, which is exactly what you're doing
Yeah.
through this podcast.
Yeah, yeah. So what are some things that like made you, was it just your love of music? You were like, oh, I want to do music business type things.
Yeah, so I've been playing guitar since I was 9, and I've been a jazz guitarist specifically for a long time. Jazz is, well, of course, growing up in Memphis, blues is a big thing of mine, but you kind of can only get so far with blues, and then you start looking into improvisation and jazz and working with different modes and, doing like chordal motifs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I always play guitar. That'll still be in my life. But I was like, how can I also help artists get paid? I've seen so many I've been friends with a million artists. I've seen so many of them just get led down the wrong path, get fucked over. Can I curse?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I forgot to cover that.
Yeah. But yeah, I've always wanted to help, and also like it's so hard. There's so much music out there now. And it's harder and easier in some senses to make money. It's harder to figure out how.
Yeah.
But once you really build up that fan base and get that loyal fan base going, like that is something that'll pay, if you have your business set up correctly, that's something that'll continue paying,
Yeah.
for years.
And that's really why I wanted to start Damage Media Group, was because, I started making music back in like 2017, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm just making music, and somebody told me about DistroKid, and I started putting my music out there, and like that's when my music career like really started. And then I decided to go. I went through Full Sail. Well, I already had a bachelor's in business management, and then I graduated in 2014 from Jacksonville State in Alabama, and then I started Full Sail University for audio production.
Yeah.
And then I finished that with just like a graduate certificate. And then I started music business because I was like, all right, let me get some actual education for music business. Well, I'll graduate with my bachelor's in music business this month. And like
From where, if you know?
from Full Sail.
Okay, cool.
So I just kept going back to Full Sail.
That's awesome, dude. Congrats on that, for real.
So when I decided to do that, I was like, while I was still in school, because me and Ryan started Damage Media Group last September. So like, reason why I really wanted to start this company was because of what you were saying earlier. Like, artists just usually don't know what's going on. Like, they just know they're making music and that's about it. So I wanted to kind of like bridge that gap of, hey, I'm just an artist making music and like I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
artists just need help.
Exactly. No, for real. Especially when you get in, if you're an artist, you pretty much certainly have that artist mentality
Yeah.
where you're just thinking about the music, your talent, that's what drives you. And honestly, you shouldn't have to think about everything.
Yes.
I don't think you should be the manager, the label, the marketing team, the PR.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to do everything, but that's where we are. Especially if you're independent.
Yeah.
It's
really unfortunate because like the crazy thing is if you are an artist and you're doing everything, that helps you out tremendously in the long run.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, like, let's say, you go from just doing some shows to like somebody in a big label finds you, signs you, and then you're just kind of like out in the water. Like, they're usually not guiding you and telling you about everything. So
exactly. Exactly.
you're kind of stuck that way. I find it that there are some artists that I run into that they do know a little bit, like C4. He's a good example. So
Exactly.
I wasn't sure of what he knew, but he said he had worked with a lot of people in his past. Like, I think he said when he was like 15, he was making beats for Slim Duncan and Gucci and all them. So I was like, all right, I think you know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but then there's other people who they just don't have a clue. So I genuinely enjoy giving people knowledge that, like, I'm going through school and everything, and I'm taking everything that I'm learning and just like handing it to people.
Exactly.
And it's a great feeling knowing that I didn't let somebody go through the struggle that that others have to go through. Like, some people will be balls deep into a career and not even know like what's going on. Like, there's a famous video of what's his name, Chameleonaire, talking about Nelly told him to audit his label, and when he did, they owed him like millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
I'm like, that's crazy.
That is crazy. And honestly, that's a good point. You definitely should audit your label when you're making that kind of money because there's so much in the bureaucracy. That's what I've learned from being with those companies is they have so many artists. There's so much bureaucracy. People get let go. You could think you have that one person at the label who's really pushing for you and really being your advocate. The next day they could be gone. So it's like a lot can happen. And to audit, have a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Step one, get an entertainment lawyer.
Yeah.
That's one of my best mentors. His name's Lauren Wells. I'll give him a little shout out. He's a really renowned entertainment lawyer, and he taught me more about. I went for a music business degree, like you. I graduated a year ago. That he taught me more about the music business than anyone else because the lawyers see everything on both sides.
That's true.
They're working on. He's working for some label's behalf and on some artist's behalf as well. So he's seeing it all. And that's like, it's unfortunate because, you have to pay lawyers. So you have to get your money up first, obviously. But really getting a lawyer or finding someone who knows law can kind of, even if they don't have a degree, maybe look over your contracts. Like, you should definitely never be the only one looking over your contract.
Yes.
That is for sure.
I don't know if you were tuning into a lot of the Hit Kid and Glorilla stuff, but I think in one of Glorilla's videos that she posted, she was saying something about Hit Kid kept saying, you can use my lawyer. And it reminded me of what you were just talking about, like the whole, like, a lawyer playing both sides.
Exactly.
So that's pretty crazy. Like, those things, I guess they just happen,
They do. And yeah, on the Glorilla Hit Kid situation is crazy too. Like
It was. It was. I had no idea. Like, so I talked to Kadeem back in like May, and I think I told C4 this, and I've talked about this on a podcast one time. But I met him in Nashville at the Music Business Conference.
Oh yeah,
and then
I was there.
oh, you were?
Yeah,
that's crazy. Did you go to the BeatStars event?
Yeah, I think so.
No, because I was there that night.
Yeah,
and Kadeem was there.
I definitely was there.
Okay,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But while I was there, I was talking to Kadeem, and he said something like Glorilla's good. Like, you know, she's good. We can, you know, we're already working on our next artist. And I was like, pause. I was like, what's it called? F&F just came out, my guy. Like, what are we talking about? So
exactly.
Some people, I guess they just know, you know what I mean? Like the industry is kind of, I guess it's like a train. Like once you get it going, it's like, all right, this train's left. Like it's going. You either hop on or you're not.
It is. That's like the internet, I think.
Yeah,
Because like once they latch onto something, and that's, you know, that's also Memphis is just so popular right now. Like people see a Memphis artist and also I'm gonna give Glorilla her credit. Like there's no rapper that's come out of Memphis or that I've seen in general that has the sound that she has.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of rappers making the same kind of music, but not, you know, she has a very unique voice, and that's you gotta and it takes longer for others than it does for some, but it's like you really got to find your voice.
Yeah.
See what works, see what's catching on.
Like I don't really listen to pop, but I've been listening to it a lot lately.
Yeah.
And I'll be hanging out with my wife and I'll just throw in some pop music. I'm like, is this not the same person we've been listening to for like the last 30 minutes? She's like, no, it's a different person. I was like, that blows my mind. So yeah, Glorilla, if I heard her voice, I know that's Glorilla.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
She's got that kind of voice, and it definitely helps. And that's my advice to artists. Like, do your own thing. Like find out who you are, find an identity, brand yourself, and then just run with that. Like if you can do that, you're good.
And learn how to market it. But also a lot of times when you find a voice that works, and you just have to do the bare minimum marketing that'll, you know, take you to the finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also my biggest thing that I think I see people too many times, which I feel like we're going to keep bringing up C4 this entire time. But for real, like he's someone who works with a ton of people, you know, worked with Wiz, worked with Juicy, like Project Pat's one of his boys.
Yeah, he talks about Project Pat all the time.
Absolutely, which Project Pat, you know, also talk about someone with a unique voice. Like Project Pat has one of the most unique voices, especially for Memphis. But no one can really get it alone.
Yeah.
It's it's impossible to get it alone.
Yeah.
Like you need to, and this is one of those things. I went to college in Chicago, and this is one of those things that really helped me succeed and bring me to where I am now, is to constantly do things like this, like meet up with people, go out of your comfort zone, be part of a scene, you know, pop out, try and find people to do shows with. Even if there aren't like DIY club promoters hitting you up, start your own show, do your own show, find an event space, you know, try and do anything possible and include other people in that, because, you know, you have to, when you have other people on your same level trying to grow together, you can grow laterally and like not always trying to shoot for that. Oh, I need this label to notice me. I need this streaming service to notice me. Of course, that's good when you're starting to really gain some traction. But in the early stages, you got to find your people who are at the same level trying to get to that next step.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know if you know Leon Stoner Firm.
I don't think so. No.
So he's an artist in Memphis, and I think C4 actually told me he saw the podcast I did with Stoner Firm, and that's why he tried to get on mine. But he always does these beat battles. The beat battle on the bluff is what they call them.
I think I do know who that is. Okay.
So yeah, he'll always ask me to judge them. So I'm usually judging those beat battles, and like it's so cool just being there and just like seeing the performances. Like Sun Person usually performs.
I was just about to bring him up.
Yeah, he usually performs, and then like some random person that I haven't heard of will perform, and I'm like, that person's pretty good. And then like another random person I'm like, that person's pretty good. And then like these beat producers coming out of nowhere with these whamming beats. I'm like, this is crazy.
Absolutely.
They're great events.
Which that's exactly like if you're around Memphis has some fantastic events, and that's the thing that I'm always like trying to ride for Memphis, because there's so much great talent in Memphis, but there's almost no infrastructure and there's not a lot of money in Memphis. Yeah. And so it's unfortunate because a lot of people like it's almost like you have to move out to get something and to really start meeting up with, other people, expand your horizons, even though there is such a great community of artists out here.
Yeah, and I hate that so much because so at that music business conference, when Kadeem was talking for his set, he mentioned about labels wanting Glorilla and Hit Kid to like come out to California, come out to New York and stuff like that. He was like, no, I want y'all to come to us.
Exactly.
And that's something that it blows my mind. But at the same time, like I get it for like why so many people don't do stuff in Memphis. They'll go to Atlanta, they'll go to Los Angeles, New York, stuff like that. But like I would, in my lifetime that I'm here, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I would really hope to help change that culture of like, you don't have to go somewhere. Cause like I'm from a small town in Alabama, and I hated the fact that like there was nothing going on there.
Yep.
So the fact that Memphis has so much going on here, but yet they're still having to go places just kills me. Like I want to be able to help change it to where like people have to come to Memphis to get things done.
Absolutely. And another little thing, like one of the reasons I'm kind of a history buff, and that's another thing that led me into like, getting into the business, is because I do want to have a positive effect on the business and do bring my business to Memphis. And try and, help grow that community. But Memphis, was started. We had Stax, Sun Records, American Recording Company. There was Royal Studios, which is Boo Mitchell's, and then Boo Mitchell's dad, Willie Mitchell, with High Records. Like, there's been so much stuff here, but it all eventually gets bought out by major labels. But Memphis used to be looked at as, first of all, Memphis used to be bigger in population than Nashville, which I think, for so long.
That's crazy.
Like until recently, until very recently.
That's crazy.
The boom that's going on in Nashville, I think that's what kind of rocketed it higher than Memphis. But a lot of musicians Memphis used to be a recording studio city. We used to have studios on there are still a lot of studios here, but there used to be studios on every single block. Like wherever you were in the hood, like anywhere, there were studios. And that's a lot of country artists and popular artists used to come here to record because it was like, they weren't burdened by all the noise coming from the execs. So it wasn't like you go to Nashville, LA, or Nashville wasn't even that back then, I don't think. But you go to New York, LA, London, wherever, you got execs in your ear putting their own idea onto the record, which isn't what you need. That's not, that doesn't really help a record. You got to make good shit and just, have it in mind. Like, you got to just make good shit and hope that people like it. Make shit that you like and hope that other people like it. Because I feel like when the execs start it seems too manufactured and it doesn't seem genuine. And that's, the fans notice that.
Yeah.
Fans who are buying the music, buying tickets, fans are not stupid. They
Yeah.
notice when something is disingenuine, it's not authentic. Like that's a
Yeah.
big. So,
I can definitely hear, I mean, me being a music person is different, but like I definitely know like when an artist made a track specifically for an album or for like sync licensing or something like that.
Exactly.
It just sounds like this was a commercial record. Like this wasn't a record that they really wanted to put out. Like somebody probably wrote the lyrics for them. The beat was specifically picked out for them. Like it just sounds like that kind of track. Exactly. And then the rest of the tracks, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is them. So, but that's part of the business. Like you can make money that way. Just
Exactly.
You could be a cover band and just do covers all the time.
Exactly, you really can. And there's so many ways to like game the streaming system now that a lot of people go just for that. Let's see if this song will get placed. Like, which I get it. It's hard to cut through the noise of 60,000 songs a day, which is like Spotify is saying that there's like 60 to 100,000 songs a day uploaded.
That's crazy.
Which is an insane, like, think about that. Think about trying to stand out when there's 60,000 songs being uploaded daily. Like, it's near impossible without having, all the things we've talked about.
Yeah,
So.
an army of people.
Literally an army. Literally an army. So.
So speaking about the stream stuff, so if you haven't been paying attention, social media, news, whatever, Atlantic Records talked about they had no idea that there were fake streams on Don Toliver's video and multiple other artists.
Yeah.
I saw your comment about people have no idea this has been happening
absolutely.
for a while. And I've told many of people, labels are buying fake streams. Like
and there's no way they don't know about it.
Oh yeah.
At all.
But I wanted to pick your brain and see what you think about like what do you think about I guess the future with that happening? We all know AI and bots are starting to get involved in things. How do you see that going? And is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, I don't think it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's just a sign of the times because there's so much content as we've discussed, and there's so many ways to game the system. Like it's fairly easy to buy. Well, like there's all these, promotional websites that, we'll get you on playlists and which that's what I've seen in my time in the business is a lot of that, like getting onto these third-party random playlists that end up running your streams up crazy. And it's, all of these basically stream farms in Russia or in China that are like just elevating your streaming activity. And I think labels are already trying to figure this out. Of course, it'll take time, but I think how they're going to fight that is basically creating AI to do the opposite of that or just be able to monitor the streaming activity on songs. But it's hard. There's, this is all new. I think, this has been happening, but not for that long, maybe a couple years. And it's still, it's hard to tell when there's so much stuff out there. So.
And like really, I can't say Spotify is to blame, but Spotify is to blame.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like it really happened because things like Rap Caviar and all these big name playlists, everybody's like, oh, if I just get on the playlist, then I'm good.
I'm good, yeah.
And I think somebody came out with a stat that said like, if you get on Rap Caviar for like a month, it's like $2 million worth of streams.
Exactly.
That's a lot of money.
Absolutely. And it's like, that's how people listen to music now. It's not radio, or that's how the typical, like a lot of music people like me, I find what I want on Apple
Yeah,
and
yeah,
go listen to it. Or I have these smaller playlists that I like that are, I go listen to, but it's like playlists are the new radio.
yeah,
And it's figuring that out. It's tough because Spotify is to blame in a certain extent because of how they mark. I'm trying to think of the way to put this. It's like I do feel like they're to blame a little bit because they show, hey, this is the only way to
yeah.
get it.
This is the
Like
way.
that's the thing is there needs to be other avenues
Yeah.
to actually, make some noise
Hmm.
on these places.
Yeah.
But it's also just the like, we're still whatever you think, I know it seems like we've had the internet for a while, but in the grand scheme of history, we're still in the early stages of the internet. And
Yeah.
so it's still technically like the wild, wild west. Like
Yeah.
you don't know how to, make it through and
Yeah.
figure out that these little things. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, that's key and point of like Twitter. You know, that's why Elon Musk is buying it and taking it over is because he didn't think it was being operated the way it should be with free speech.
Exactly.
So we haven't figured it out. Like we're still we're all babies when it comes to the internet because we're just like playing with it. We're just guessing like, oh, this might work, this might not work.
Exactly.
Is it okay to just completely demonize somebody or not? Should we have free speech? Like all these things are they're just kind of out there.
It's kind of out there, and it's also like that's a whole different subject.
Yeah.
But it is like it all translates into the real world.
Yeah.
So you have to keep that in mind, and also you have to understand how the internet has changed humanity.
Yeah.
Like it has a big effect on how we actually live, obviously, but yeah, I do think there need to be regulations. Like I don't think it can just be the wild, wild west because that does have serious ramifications for, the world we live in.
Yeah.
So
I think there's, on that point, like I think there's a certain amount of real regulations that we should have and like guidelines for people to understand what's going on. So like for instance, if you decide you're going to be in the music business, you should be able to get like, so the MLC, like they've done a great job they started in 2021 or 2020.
2020, they officially opened up. 2018 was the signing of the Music Modernization Act.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 2020 they fully.
So for them to start, so for everybody who doesn't know, the MLC collects your mechanical licenses. Mechanical licenses have existed since music existed.
Exactly.
So for us to just now create that is crazy.
Yes, exactly. Especially since the internet has been around.
Yeah.
This is a great example because this is like a full invention of the internet. Wouldn't be possible without the internet, without database management systems, without software engineering, all of that stuff.
Imagine having to flip through pages of music.
My god! Oh my god! I mean, because the MLC covers everything, literally everything, which is great, but it's still in the early stages, and so like I work with the MLC a lot, and there's a lot of issues they still have, but for it to have been open for like 2 years now. And they're collecting everything. And I think they posted some number that was like 480 million, which is crazy, but it's honestly a drop in the bucket of everything that's out there. And, but for it to all be in a centralized place, I think that's a good point of like why there needs to be some more innovation in this sense, but Web 3.0 is, I think it would be really, everything being centralized is really important.
Yes.
I think having a And it's also important for artists to be able to, make money and not have to take on an entirely new job
Yeah, yeah.
to do it. So,
Yeah, and I like what was it? I think CD Baby and I don't know who else does this, but they'll do all that for you. Like they'll cover your MLC stuff and your BMI or ASCAP. Like they'll get all your publishing good for you, which is great. But at the same time, I think at a minimum, artists should have somewhere to go that just tells them all this stuff. Like
exactly.
you should not have to get a business degree to figure this stuff out. Like,
Absolutely not.
It's just wrong.
It is. And that's like, I think another thing that MLC does that's good on that is education. They provide a lot of education and a lot of webinars and stuff like that. But also, I want to shout out Songtrust.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know if you know
Yeah.
Songtrust I think they do. I mean, I don't know what the like distro companies do in terms of publishing. By the way, I didn't even mention this, but I'm mostly on the publishing side of things. That's where my knowledge is. But Songtrust does a great job because they also find your black box royalties, which means if you have money that's just sitting out there in the ether that's uncollected, that should be owed to you, they have systems in place, content ID systems that will find that for you and say, oh, you actually have like $10,000 waiting for you in black box royalties. Or like they'll collect from YouTube, which it's near impossible getting a deal with YouTube. So it's like doing all of that stuff, and they provide the education in layman's terms. They don't. One thing that I think Elon recently said about to like the software engineering team at Twitter. I don't agree with everything Elon does, but I will say like he says something about stop using jargon, like try and explain things in a human way instead of using all this jargon that's impossible for someone who isn't in the know to understand. I think that's really good for music, for all of this, for being in business. I think when you put all these limitations on what is possible, that's not good for society. We need it to be as accessible as possible.
Yeah. Another company that I'm really proud of, how far they've come and where they're going, is BeatStars.
Yes.
They have created, like Ryan was showing me the other day, he was recording a song downstairs, and he was like, man, I love this app. And I was like, what app is it? And he said, on BeatStars, you can like play the beat and like write your lyrics like right there. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then they started doing their publishing, and they did a deal with Sony. And if you've been paying attention, that's how Hit Kid, he's been with Sony and BeatStars. And then what else did they do? They've done the content ID where they'll like go and find your beats on YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yo, y'all are changing the game.
BeatStars is great, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of their founders was an early guy in InGrooves, which InGrooves was like one of the early distribution companies in the internet age that really figured out, oh, we can use the internet to track what these artists are making and actually give them a realistic. InGrooves is great. If you don't know, like InGrooves got bought by Universal. It was really one of the first like distro companies that was like, independent artists, if you don't have anywhere to go, come to us. We'll help you figure it out. It was like a precursor to DistroKid and CD Baby and all these guys. So,
See, I was really wanting to one day dig into like how that all started. Like the Distro Kids, and because I heard about Distro Kid in like 2017, I think. And then there's like TuneCore, CD Baby,
The Orchard.
Yeah, like all these companies. I was just like, when did this start? Like, was there something that was the catalyst that really got all these companies in business, or did one of them just like figure it out? Like, I didn't know how any of that started. So it's pretty interesting.
It is, and to just tag on to that, also the YouTube Partner Program, I think that changed a lot because it was really hard to make music on the internet
Yeah.
with streaming. Like there was such a lull in between, like there was CDs and then iTunes and then streaming, but it all wasn't, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
These services were not up to speed,
Yeah.
in a day. But the YouTube Partner Program really showed like, oh, there are ways to actually equitably pay out artists off of their streams, make ad revenue. And yeah, YouTube really, they did it early too,
Yeah.
which I love.
Do you think YouTube is something that do you think they're stretching it, trying to do these kind of things? Because like when we think of YouTube, we think of video. Like I'm going to YouTube to watch some videos. But a lot of people are using YouTube to make money because of the partnership program. So do you think artists, as far as like, a lot of times somebody comes to the studio, hey man, I got this YouTube beat. That's how people are doing that. So do you think it's a good thing, or is it like they're just kind of stretching their abilities with that?
I think there is some of that, just in terms of it being such a like open platform, like it's everything.
Yeah,
but
like
also,
Facebook.
Like
you can
Facebook,
do anything on Facebook.
Exactly, Facebook, literally.
Instagram too. Yeah.
And yeah, I think YouTube is actually kind of becoming a newer version of Facebook.
Yeah, they've got the shorts.
They've got the shorts, and they're all trying to be. That's the other thing. They're all trying to be like whatever's popular. They're all trying to be like when TikTok got big. They're all transferring into that more short form content. I don't know if it's. I feel like they are stretching it a little bit, but also like how else are artists going to make money? Like, and YouTube has become, because YouTube was started in 2005. It was started early, and it's become one of the main places. It was started before streaming, and so it's become one of the main places for music consumption.
Yeah.
It might be the top music consumption platform in the world. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all, because you think about what's popular in the US, Apple Music, Spotify, basically that.
Yeah.
Well, overseas, YouTube is much more popular as a streaming platform. For hip hop, music is much more popular. It's free for them unless you're,
you don't have to subscribe to YouTube.
Even to YouTube Music, their streaming service, there's a free version of that. Like
it's pretty cool, but as I was saying, like you wonder where it can go because of what the platform is. And then the same thing with like TikTok and Instagram. It's like, how far are we taking this? Like, what are y'all going to do?
Exactly. So. Well, that's what I think about TikTok is like, I think TikTok would be, I wish these companies would just stay where they are. Like,
stay in their lanes.
Like, well, yeah, exactly. I think it would honestly make it so much better. Like, because there are ways to make money on all these platforms, but don't try to become each other.
Yeah.
Like, stay in your lanes, exactly, because, with licensing opportunities, there's all these new licensing opportunities in TikTok. I don't know if you've seen, but labels are now trying to renegotiate with TikTok.
I saw that.
And because these companies all start out getting a pretty slow rate from the platforms, like a low percentage in what they're making off of the music.
Yeah.
And it's usually a percentage of ad revenue that comes in. And it's like, oh, TikTok has billions of viewers, we need to up this. We can't just be making a tiny percentage on something that is generating billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like,
and the funny thing is, that's what the artists feel about those platforms.
Exactly.
Like it's like the TikTok is playing the label and the labels are playing the artist.
Exactly.
Like the script completely gets flipped on them. But I do think that TikTok is realizing the power that they have.
Definitely. They just created a distribution company.
That's right.
Sound On.
That's right. I wonder how that's going to go. And again, I hope it's not a case of where they're just stretching their abilities and too thin.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of do a sloppy job of it. So,
Exactly. That's what I worry about. Like I've heard of some people getting deals with TikTok, with Sound On and everything. I think this is just smart. I like to see how things play out before I fully jump in. Like, I don't know. I think you got to be, like, I understand if you're like a TikTok artist, like you really have a good TikTok following, and you want to get into the Sound On thing, but you gotta. It's a whole nother ballgame running a distribution company than it is running a social media company. Like you got to see how it operates first.
Yeah.
But
and there's so many factors into it, and then you're having to deal with people's music. Like
exactly.
I tell people all the time, like when I started Damage Media Group, I thought about how I used to work at Pizza Hut. And when I worked at Pizza Hut, I was dealing with people's food. There's nothing worse than dealing with a hungry person.
Absolutely.
So dealing with people's music, that's like their lifeline. Like that's people's careers. That's their pockets. That's their bank account. Like,
and it's their passion.
Yeah. They're emotionally attached to it. And when you control that, you better be careful.
Absolutely. You better be careful. You better know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're working with emotion. That's the thing. And that's why it's so hard. Like, you really got to understand the business to operate in it, because it's not like you're selling food or, soap or just something random.
Yeah, it's not a random product.
It's not a random product that you're going to put on the shelves at Target and it's just going to go. Like, you're operating with emotions from the artist, but also the thing that pays the artist and that plays the music, streams, buys tickets, buys merch, is the emotion from the fan.
Yeah.
And that's what you're banking on. So you don't have to deal with that within, like, it's an intangible and it's based on emotion. Like that's why it's so hard to market. Like you gotta constantly be watching the trends and seeing, like, being in marketing in music is so different from corporate marketing. You have to understand where things are going, how things are constantly evolving. Like it's not that easy.
Yeah. So. That was actually something, this topic was something that one of my instructors in Full Sail talked about. He was like, the entertainment business is the act of monetizing the emotional attachment people have to music. So for instance, he was telling a story. He was like, I think he said he was like a Bears fan or Seahawks fan or something.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was. And he was saying when they went to the Super Bowl, he lived in like a completely different state. Like I forgot where he lived, but he said, I bought a ticket, flew to, I think it was like Los Angeles, like when they had the Super Bowl in like Los Angeles or something.
Yeah.
He was like, I flew there, stayed in a hotel, watched the game, flew back home. He was like, I didn't have to spend any of that money. I could have stayed at home and watched it.
And that was not cheap.
Exactly. Like Super Bowl tickets are in the thousands.
Absolutely.
Your flight, hundreds or thousands. Hotel in that area, probably in the hundreds per night.
Yeah.
So food, whatever else you like, spent thousands of dollars when he could have just stayed at home and watched it on TV.
Exactly.
But the emotional attachment that he had brought him to do all those things. And so, like we were talking about earlier, if you can just get an emotional attachment to a small group of fans, 100 people, you could live off that.
Absolutely. You could live off that forever. Which that's, people like Tyler, the Creator. These are a couple of my favorites just of
I love
the
Tyler.
big guys. Tyler is probably my all-time favorite. I've listened to him since 2011. I'm like a super fan, and I've seen him 4 times
Oh,
live.
nice.
I've literally, every time he came even near where I was living, I made sure to see him. Same kind of thing. A couple months ago, I had a friend hit me up. Hey, I got a Kendrick Lamar ticket in LA. Come out. And I was like, it'll be expensive, but it'll also be amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, gotta do it. And that emotional connection can be so strong.
Yeah.
That it'll make you drain your bank account so you can just have a moment of seeing, a legend on stage doing their thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, it was so worth it. So I had to add that in.
Yeah. I mean, like those things, just finding that out. And like you were talking about how the music marketing is just a different beast. Mm-hmm. When you figure out those things, like you feel like you got it. You're like, okay, cool. Like everybody wants this. And then boom, 2 weeks later or a month later, it's different.
Exactly.
And people are constantly changing the game, and like producers, I feel like they're like beat producers. Like they'll change the game in a minute. Like and also like the collaboration with the artists. Mm-hmm. Like I remember back in, I think it was like 2010, I think. Well, it was probably before then, but like it was like the height of that mixtape era.
Yeah.
Like when Dat Piff and live mixtapes was everything. Mm-hmm. I was listening to a ton of Future, Gucci, and people like that. Like that connection of, and also DJs. So we had like DJ Scream, DJ Holiday, DJ Drama, DJ Khaled. Like all these people had these connections with the artist. And then they decided to like, hey, this
Lex
is
Luger.
Lex
Sorry,
Luger.
I had to.
Dude, Lex. Him and Waka. Oh, that.
Don't even.
What was the name of that album? Flockaveli.
Yeah.
Like that album. It's like, yo.
That's like, and that's now considered like one of the greatest like Flockaveli and all of the, like, a lot of those Gangsta Grills mixtapes with Gucci, those early Gucci tapes. Oh my God, what are we talking about? Yeah,
absolute classics, and it's a wonder. I feel like we just don't get that anymore. Like, it's almost like the fun was sucked out of the music industry, and people just started doing what they thought pleased fans. But yet we're still playing that old music.
Exactly. And that's the thing. We're always going to be playing that old music. I do think there are some groups and some people that are still trying to do that. Like, but I think you have to dig. You have to dig through a lot now. It's like, and that, they ended up breaking up. This is an example of recent, but they ended up breaking up and kind of, everyone ended up getting allegations and it just ended up not being great. But Brockhampton, like in the early years, they were doing some really cool mixtapes. The whole Saturation series was awesome. And like, but still, you're right. It's not quite what it was.
Yeah.
And I think it's this is going to sound bad. This is going to sound really bad, but I think the accessibility of making music is good and bad.
Yes.
I think it's quite the double-edged sword.
That is correct.
Because, it's so accessible, so it's great. Anyone can just make music now.
Yeah.
But, it clutters up a lot of, like, really good people who are just dedicated.
Yeah.
Like, I've worked with a lot of artists and seen a lot of artists who are making music just because they want to live the lifestyle. Like a lot of people just want to live the lifestyle and don't really care about the music, about the art, about what goes into it, about the blood, sweat, and tears that you have to, expense to get into it. Like a lot. And that, that makes it harder for the people who are actually dedicated. I'm getting it. So.
Do you know who Matt Qualls is? He's an engineer.
Mac Walls?
Qualls.
Qualls.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think so.
I forgot the name of the studio he works at, but he was telling me a story. This one time, some people just came in the studio, and like I think they were asking about like booking prices or whatever. And then I think they like came. I forgot what he said, but I think he said they came back, or that time that they were there, they were just like trying to hang around,
Yeah.
just to see who else was going to pop up.
Exactly.
I was like, yo, that's crazy.
Exactly.
People just want to be around the music business, the music industry, just because they see so and so, and they're just hoping like a money bagger was going to come by, and they were just going to get to meet him.
Exactly. And like I get a lot of these bigger guys like Moneybag Yo or like a Dolph, rest in peace. They had a million guys around them for practical reasons,
Yeah.
security.
Yeah.
That is a real thing. So I get that part of it, but then you see a lot of these like you're in these scenarios around these people and you see a lot of these dudes just getting fit pics trying to get like turn up and just being in that situation. It's thrilling and I get that. I've been in that situation, but a lot of them aren't. Like there's a reason Moneybag and Dolph and Paper Route, all those guys, there's a reason they got big. There's a reason 3-6 got big.
Yeah.
Because they wanted it. They were hungry enough to get it and have their own sound, be able to create actual great content. Like I don't know. I could talk about this for hours. I'm just rambling at this point.
What do you think about the, I guess, escalation of artists in short periods of time? Yeah, I like to ask, do you think it's good or not? Because it's just an interesting question. But yeah, just like artists who, they get found and then boom. So we've had Glow really did it. Like Glow was big around here, but not nationally or globally.
Oh, definitely not.
And then Ice Spice, she's came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's been many of others, and then for everybody who doesn't know, it's definitely changed. Labels used to have like real artist development, that you were basically a raw talent and they helped you, showed you what to wear, how to act, stuff like that. But now it's just kind of like they want you to be kind of polished before they even take you. So
definitely.
How do you think that that's playing out right now?
I think it depends. I think there has always kind of been that thing of artists just coming up really fast. I think a lot of times it can be too fast, and a lot of, you see a lot of those artists fall off and have it rough when people stop, because there's a stop to that. They're usually, unless you can really start putting out music that is just good and your fans will like it, usually there's a downfall with artists like that. I somewhat like it because I think to an extent, I think artists are more allowed to be themselves in a weird way. I think a lot of labels are seeing that, hey, the fans want an F and F. They want a song that would never have been able to fly years ago like for real. Like that song is a huge hit, but also just chasing virality, like just chasing the next viral hit. That's not going to get you anywhere because the money will run out on that viral hit eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe not for a while, but it will, and you have to be able to cultivate an actual fan base.
Yeah.
And so I think that's more important than anything, is just seeing, oh, this is what my fans are liking. Like, you got to see what's trending to your fans. You got to start building your fan base and see what's trending, see what they like, see what's, they're responding to, and go from there. I don't know. I just hate, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is that in the industry now is just searching for that viral thing. Like what'll go viral? What can we do? And that's what the labels are doing now. And I'm like, you know, it's not an immediate big payday.
Yeah.
So that's why they're looking at virality, because that's a big payday right off the bat.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, there's longevity in the slow, steady climb.
Yeah.
So,
And, you know, I understand that from the label standpoint. You know, they want that quick money right now, and they want to make their investment back from this artist.
exactly.
But if you're an artist, you have to think about it like, how can I make this a career and not just like this contracted job that I'm doing? Like you want to keep that ball rolling for a long time.
Exactly. Which I think artists like Glorilla, I don't think she had to sign as quick as she did,
I don't think so either.
because I think she could have gotten a lot more money.
She could have been like the female Dolph.
Absolutely. I think she still has potential for that.
Oh yeah.
I will say I like that she signed with CMG over, the thing is, I don't think it would have worked if she just signed to a record label. Like, I think she needs the appearance and the backing of people like Gotti and Black Youngsta and Moneybagg and all these people. Like, I don't know. I think she got like 2 million.
I don't know.
I think
I know in a couple of the Flex Funk Flex freestyle, she mentioned 500 grand.
Well,
I
if that's how much, that is crazy. Like, that is crazy low. But
In that freestyle, she mentioned something about Gotti gave her 500 grand and she made it back quick or something like that. She turned it around or something.
yeah, I think she did end up getting 2 million from the actual label, but still, that is a crazy advance. Like, you know, I can't really speak on it because I would have to see the terms of that deal to know.
Yeah, what else is involved?
What else is involved? Like, if they have rights for perpetuity, like, that's great. I can't imagine they do in the world we live in, but who knows? Maybe they do.
Yeah, well, she said that Gotti asked, like, when they were on the phone, he was like, "What else you got?" You know, he wanted to see her whole catalog. He wasn't in it for just F and F.
Exactly. So, which that's why I like that she signed with Gotti. Like, someone who's actually been through that and comes from the artist perspective. It's hard to really, I don't know. I like these companies, and I'd love to be a part of any of these companies. Hire me. that are started by artists and by Paper Route. You know, of course, I could talk about Dolph forever. Like, everyone in Memphis loves Dolph.
Yeah.
Like, well, not everyone, but I love Dolph. And I think, you know, when they start these labels, the reason why these artist labels are so successful is because they know what they're doing. They've been through the rat race before. They've seen it happen. They've seen people fail too. They've seen people fall off. So it's like, that is, you can't get that kind of experience without being an artist. I really don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that there isn't enough people out there that are running big labels that were artists and have been through that thing. I do think what Gotti's doing is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm really, like, obviously not copying his thing, like his style, but I'm really trying to be like where he's at in Memphis. But I do value what Glorilla did with signing with him, but I thought it would have been really cool if she just stuck with Hit Kid and like they just kept doing stuff like a Waka and Lex Luger type thing. Like, that would have been so cool.
That would have been awesome. And that's another thing. It's like, Glorilla saw Gotti trying to give her money, and she was like, well, shit, I'm not going to turn down Gotti. Like, I get from Glow's perspective, but you're right. She and Hit Kid could have grown something organically.
Yeah.
And, well, Hit Kid already has a label. It's called Camp South Records.
Yeah.
And he's doing a lot of like if you're on Glorilla and aren't on like all the other ones, I'm blanking on all their names right now because I'm a fool.
Oh, like
But
the everybody
like
that her friends.
like on the recent song Shibuya,
Oh, what was it
fucking
like Slimeroni and Glitter
and
Gloss,
Glitter Gloss, and who's the
K
other
Carbon?
K Carbon, that's the one I'm trying to think of. K Carbon is dope.
Did she
but
ever sign with anybody?
I don't think she is. I think
So Glitter signed with QC.
okay, maybe K Carbon has signed. They're all signing away, which I get, but it's like I wish I I don't know. I mean, what Hit Kid would have to do? He'd have to get a crazy investment
Yeah,
to I think be able to keep them all.
yeah,
But I think it would have been awesome for him to
yeah.
completely grow something from the ground up, and then Hit Kid would have an amazing roster, for the
Yeah.
future. But
That'd have been really fun to see. Like,
Mhm.
I get it. Like a
and
lot.
like there's new blood in town in Memphis. Like there hasn't been that in a while. So
Yeah,
that's
a lot of people, they get in the business for the money. Like it's not really about the fun because a lot of these artists come from nothing
exactly.
and they're trying to chase that check.
Exactly.
So I can't.
Which I
like,
get. I can't
Yeah.
knock that. Yeah.
I'm not going to knock anybody for getting their money. Like,
Absolutely.
do that first. But at the same time, it's like, it's almost like as artists as consumers, me and you kind of sound like we want more of that organic fun that it seemed like those artists like the Gucci and Zaytoven and Waka Lex Luger, like those people had that connection. And it's almost as if they didn't really care about like what the execs were telling them to do. They were just kind of
Absolutely.
just dropping music.
Exactly. And that's kind of gone from the industry.
Yeah.
I think to some extent. It's also like there's so much money in the industry in these major labels that they see someone pop, they're going to throw them millions of dollars like off the bat because
Yeah.
they just have millions to play around with.
Which is crazy.
And which is crazy, but they're like, oh, this is what's popping. We need to make money off of that. So that,
Somebody who has done a really good job of doing their own thing is NBA YoungBoy.
yeah.
Like that dude, his fan base is crazy. He's crazy. Like he'll put out music videos that shot on his phone. Yeah, it's like, what is this dude? He breaks all the rules and is
Exactly.
successful.
And he'll work with crazy young, pretty inexperienced producers that I love to see. Like he's getting like 13-year-old kids gold plaques because no, for real. Like I don't,
That's so crazy.
because he just works with all these young guys. And I think also he has a team. I forgot who it is, but I think the company that there's this guy Mike Karen, who's in the business. It's not AD. It might be ADA. I forgot the company he's with, but he's with a company that is very artist first. Like we're gonna follow their vision and
Okay.
go. And a lot of times that artist vision is what's gonna be successful. Like
Yeah.
that's unless it's just completely outlandish, but usually like that's genuine. It's genuine, authentic.
Yeah.
What we were talking about earlier. So,
Yeah, I mean, you have some people like Kanye, like forget everything that's been happening recently,
Yeah.
but he had that like stem player, like that was a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
It might not have sold the way he thought it was going to,
Exactly.
but it was innovative and different.
Exactly.
So props to him for that.
And only someone, but like that's the other thing. Like only someone like Kanye or
Yeah.
at that level can really do that.
Yeah.
Because it's it's a first of its kind thing that really isn't that it's not that special.
Yeah,
But it is cool.
It's
and
different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It is different. So it's like, yeah, I don't know.
and it's in the music business. Like, there's the old saying, "The nail that sticks out gets hammered."
Mm-hmm.
It sucks, you want to be creative, you want to do something different, and then you do it, and then everybody like hates you for it. Like, so going back to Lil Wayne, I forgot what year it was, but he did that Rebirth album,
Yeah.
that rock album, and everybody was like, no.
Exactly.
But that's what he wanted to do. And
Exactly.
he put it out, and it was actually not that bad.
Exactly.
But people
same
just
thing
hated
with
him
Kid
for it.
Cudi. He's always
Yeah.
he did that rock album.
Yeah.
And people are, if you're a rapper and you're gonna do a rock album, people are automatically gonna hate.
Yeah.
But it is like once you reach that level, it is cool to do your own thing and have fun merch ideas. Like just do things that are very different and you can, I don't know. Yeah. I kind of lost my train of thought there. But that's
Yeah, I mean it's cool to be able to do different stuff and have the ability to do different stuff. Like I don't know if have you seen the Lil Dicky's TV show?
Oh yeah, it's hilarious.
Absolutely hilarious.
It's actually really funny.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen the show, Lil Dicky literally is like playing himself in the show.
Exactly.
He plays a Jewish rapper who's just trying to make it with him and his friend, his producer, whatever. Yeah. And in the show, he ends up getting picked up by a label, and he tells them that in the contract, like he wants to be able to have creative freedom. And that's a real thing. Like in real life, artists want to be able to do what they want to do.
Exactly.
And you kind of have to fight for it. Like you have to fight for like you were talking about earlier, like not having those execs in the room telling you like this is how the song is supposed to go and stuff like that. Like you want to have that freedom to do stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There was something specifically I was going to ask you about, and I forgot what it was. But I think you have done a great job of getting to where you're at and knowing what you do. Is there something specific that you feel like a lot of artists should know? I guess just in general.
I could go on about this could be an entire podcast, but I do think like just stand up for yourself, find a group of people that you can surround yourself with. And there's a great group of DJs I want to give a little plug to, Bodywork in Memphis. They're doing a lot of stuff together, doing different DJ mixes that they're putting out on Bandcamp and SoundCloud, throwing each other they're DJing events every weekend. But yeah, have a group of people you can surround yourself with and do your research. I know it's not fun to have to play that role in your career, but you have to start when you're an independent, you have to play that role in your career until you get picked up by a team. And that's, the marketing but just do your research. Do your research, set yourself goals, make a checklist, figure out fun content ideas that you want to do with your music to push it even further on social media. Like do all of that and check your emails. Check your emails. Oh my
God. Everybody.
Check your emails.
No matter what you do, check your emails.
No matter what you do. But I've worked with so many artists who don't check their emails and I'm like, guys, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't heard back. Like
the label has moved on.
Exactly. We if this was a real opportunity, I have moved on.
Yeah.
That's how life works. So you gotta,
Nothing but so. I don't like to be 100% accessible. Okay, let me take that back. I like for people to be able to contact me, but I also want people to respect my schedule.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I can't stand when I can't reach somebody. Like there's been so many people, which I've met some pretty powerful people in the music industry. And I get it. Like you don't want everybody to have your phone number or your email or whatever to contact you whenever they feel like it. But at the same time, there's got to be a way to at least be able to reach you and you respond in a timely manner.
Absolutely. Especially if you're really just trying to get it and you're an independent artist growing, every other day, just every other day, look at it. Like just take a little glance.
Yeah. Get the Spark app or Outlook, whatever you use.
Exactly.
And just check your emails.
Superhuman, that's a good one.
Superhuman?
That you can it'll, go through everything on your phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dang, dropping some knowledge over
Just try and stay on top of it. I'm a big proponent of like just stay on top of your business, even if it's the bare minimum, which I would arguably say checking your emails is the bare minimum. So, you know,
If I will literally use email more than like I'll call somebody or text somebody. Like I'll use email because like just that form of conversation just seems so formal to me. And shout out to Louise Page. I actually had her in here earlier. I was talking to her, but
that's awesome.
the first time we did a podcast together, I reached out to her on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then she told me to send her an email.
Yeah.
Because she said that's how she knows like if you're serious or not. And
exactly.
I was like, I appreciate that.
Which that's how a lot of people in the industry operate. Like, of course, I get, you know, DMing and texting. It's a little more casual, especially when you're just trying to get something quick.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to, you know, opportunities, that's usually those will come to you if you're, you know, doing the right things, putting yourself out there, you know, making sure it's known what you're trying to do. But yeah, also, I realized I'm not really done with my thing of what you should be doing as an artist. You should also like, I think you should work on your own career before you look at getting getting an entire team around you. But you should still have people who kind of know what they're doing. And like, I don't know, like if you can look into sync rep agencies or like putting your stuff on Disco, that's another good one. Like if you want music supervisors to see your stuff, go to Disco. That's a fantastic website where you can like, it's like social media. You just put all your songs up there and you can kind of categorize them so they're easily findable for different placements, whether it's movies or ads or whatever.
They're just using like the metadata to get a good. Okay.
Exactly. But there's stuff you can do on your own without having to go to a label, without having to, you know, give away all your rights or whatever. Like, there's a lot of different, and also a lot of these independent distribution companies or distribution companies for independent artists are offering. A lot of them have improved in the past few years, I think. They're offering better education and advice, and like, you know, DistroKid's getting a lot better, I think, and like all of these. So there's a lot you can do. You just have to do your research, set some goals, figure out what your voice is, and work with people.
Yeah.
Like, do features. Like, work with people.
Yeah. I remember what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What do you think, what do you think is missing or needed in Memphis for, I guess, just the music business in general?
People need to. It's hard. It's hard because we're not even that small of a city. We have like 650,000 people, but we're still technically a small city. Money, but the money will come from people starting businesses in Memphis, like doing what you did, starting Damage here in Memphis, like trying and hunkering down and starting your own. I have a little independent publishing company. It's basically just to help out my friends and, you know, administer their stuff.
Yeah.
But I started it here in Memphis. I pay taxes in Tennessee. Like that's important. I think, you know, just starting stuff and creating more buzz in Memphis is really good, but it's an uphill battle. Like Memphis is such a impoverished city. It's a city that, you know, especially with the huge influx in Nashville, like so many, y'all don't know, during the pandemic, so many people started moving to Nashville. That's, I think, only making it harder in Memphis because people overlook Memphis a lot. And I don't know. There's a lot that needs to be done, but start a damn business here. That's like, start a business, work with people, create ways for people to make money here in Memphis. So,
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I completely agree that there needs to be it, and it's not so much just more quantity, but quality. I want to be able to get something out of it and be able to be like, man, that changed me. That changed a situation or something like that.
exactly.
I am a huge proponent of events. I think that what Stoner Firm is doing with the beat battles is great. I think that what David Yancey, do you know who that is?
Yeah.
He does the art bazaars.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That dude is worth his weight in gold to Memphis. But yeah, people like that who are doing these things for others, like who cares if they were making like a ridiculous profit off of it? Good, first off.
Yeah.
But also, they're giving people opportunities. Like Davey Yancey does open mics all the time.
Yeah.
And usually I think it's like $10 to enter, but it's like, yo, that's who knows who's going to be in that crowd and who's going to how many people are going to show up. Like that's an open mic. Like you can do whatever you want with that.
Exactly. And yeah, I couldn't agree more on the events piece. I started my career in the music business in events. I was a concert promoter for years in Chicago. And like I love, first of all, I'm an avid event goer. I love live music. It's in my opinion, the best way to experience music. But yeah, if you're someone trying to break into the music industry, meet people, show off your craft, events, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
And it'll only sharpen your skills. It'll only make you a better artist, businessman, whatever. So, yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up, man.
Absolutely.
What is all the ways people can reach you? Give everybody your everything.
If you want to hit me up if you want to hit me up anywhere, go to, honestly, LinkedIn is great. Sam Kaplan, Kaplan. Same with Instagram. I kind of use both for business a little bit. Instagram is Shmuel J Kaplan. We'll put it underneath. Maybe I'm kind of saying this for him, but yeah. But
what is up with that? The Shmuel.
Shmuel. So I'm Jewish, and that's my Hebrew name, and so that's it's always been. It's what my parents call me. It's what my sisters call me. It's what all my friends have always called me. So it basically has been when I did events, it was Shmuel Presents always. My publishing company is called Shmuel Publishing. Like everything is Shmuel. So
that's dope.
Absolutely.
Cool. But all right.
I really enjoyed doing this, bro.
Thank you for coming on. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.